PJ Haggerty is in the portal. We're a day late on this. I was on hole 13 yesterday when this news broke, and nobody else could step in. We had JK like 4 hours into exporting the Riley Friday episode. So we made you wait for this one, folks. This is the best player in the portal.
Yes.
That's all we need to say. He's
Yes.
arguably the best guard in the country. I mean, Braden Smith exists, but outside of Braden, PJ Haggerty is probably the best shooting guard in the country, at minimum, a projected All-American. His year at Memphis was insane, 22 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 48% from the floor, 36% from three. Good luck finding somebody on higher volume that was that efficient last year. He carried Memphis to a bunch of wins. He carried them to arguably the best season Penny Hardaway has had at Memphis. And guess what? He's still got a lot of college basketball left to play here. Memphis was his third year. He came from Tulsa the year before. He actually started at TCU the year before, but I believe he got the medical at TCU
Yep.
because he only played 6 games. So
Yeah.
Haggerty has 2 years of eligibility left. And I know his name is circulated a little bit with NBA draft stuff. I'll just spoil it for everybody. He's not going to the draft. This is the perfect archetype for the NIL era in college. He's going to get a huge paycheck this year and likely the year after to go be an absolute superstar in some college basketball program. Ralph, what is your reaction to the news that Haggerty is in the portal?
At this point in the portal, like there are good pieces you can get, but there are very few like season changers available. Guys who get and it changes your outlook, raises your ceiling. Haggerty is one of those guys who undoubtedly raises your ceiling. Right? He's averaged over 21 per game each of the last 2 seasons. He improved his three-point shooting immensely last season. He's an incredibly effective scorer, and he's incredibly effective at getting to the line as well. He rebounds his position incredibly well. He's averaged just under 4 assists each of the last 2 seasons. Like he is a guy who can be a true go-to player on a team with Final Four aspirations. And it's rare that you get those guys popping up at this point in the portal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you're starting to see, I think even coaches are learning this on the fly, but fans for sure, that there's waves to the portal. There's like the initial rush of a bunch of guys who are just dead set on finding a new home. And then there's like some trickling like misinformation weeks. And then you get to close to the deadline and guys that have been mulling this or agents that are pushing them like you could make a lot of money doing this kind of beat the buzzer and it becomes an arms race, right? It becomes
Yes.
like who hasn't spent their money yet? And there's a lot of teams that have not spent their money yet, whether or not they've intended to save it for a guy like PJ Haggerty or whether they've missed on their targets. There's going to be some schools here that can stumble their way into likely the best player in the portal. I was going through this. I think before this, you could have made an argument that like Donovan Dent, RJ Lewis, maybe Axel Lendeborg, maybe Darion Williams are the best player in the portal. To me, there's no argument. PJ Haggerty's better than all those names I just mentioned. Do you agree with that?
I think argument could be made. I would probably put Haggerty over all of them. But some of it's going to depend on role and fit because to get the most out of Haggerty, I think you need him to be one of your top two offensive options,
Yep.
right? And there are people, lots of schools who need that, but there are some that don't, and it could just get too crowded. So like I think maybe Darion Williams probably would have a wider array of fits that may make him more valuable, but that doesn't make him better than Haggerty. I think Haggerty's probably the best one that's come in.
Yeah, almost like this isn't how basketball works, but like imagine every program in the country is starting from scratch and there's no players on your roster. I think it's like whoever's drafting 1-1 immediately takes PJ Haggerty, no questions asked, of all the players that have been in the portal. If you start to mix in like, oh, what do we already have? What's your role? Where do you go? Then you can make arguments for somebody else. But just bar none, to me, this dude's a superstar. He might be the second best
Yes.
player in college basketball next year. And wherever he goes, he's going to get a good one. It's been about 19 hours since he entered the portal. Sometimes guys of this caliber enter the portal and they know where they're going. I don't think PJ Haggerty knows where he's going. In fact, I don't think anybody knows where he's going or even what the options are. I haven't seen a schools list. I haven't even really heard smoke on potential options. What are you hearing, Ralph?
Uh, I don't want to say that this is going to be like a bag only situation, but I do get the sense that bag is going to matter a lot. There was some talk I don't know how real this is, if it's just something that could potentially work. Like going back to TCU was mentioned.
Oh,
And like you be the guy on a Big 12 team that pays a lot and that makes a lot of sense. But I can't imagine that's like made with the idea of winning as many games as possible. Right. Like that's a major role in the Big 12 with a big bag to go along with it. Hearing that, if that's true, makes me think that okay, maybe this is a real like let's get a giant bag and we'll end up somewhere that may be a little bit off the radar.
yeah, I think it's a good point. Like Norlander and the CBS guys have been putting a bunch of information out there, good articles. You should go read them about like the state of NIL and what schools have
Yep.
money and what ones don't. And this was a tweet from Norlander after Haggerty entered the portal yesterday. He said, "Feedback I consistently heard from schools was, we're at this number, but we can get another million or two if necessary for the right player." That's the PJ Haggerty zone, right? There's going to be
Yes.
schools that come in with an offer, but if that's the way this is working right now, and the agents know this, there are going to be schools that need to go deeper and deeper into their pockets in order to win the services of PJ Haggerty. Can we throw some speculative fits around? Because again,
Please.
I can't find a list. I can't. You and I are in enough basketball circles. Sometimes we get info on like where options are. I've heard nothing. Speaking for myself, this is
Yeah.
dead silent on potential options for PJ Haggerty. So it's pure speculation from our standpoint. But pure speculation time, Ralph. What's the first school that comes to mind?
You might notice there's a lot of lights on behind me. There's a big ring light I'm using to record this. You want to know why those lights stay on? Because of Underdog, because of these ad reads, people.
Yeah, we heard your feedback. You're annoyed that we keep putting underdog ads in the middle of our videos. Well, guess what? We got to keep the lights on and we need some people to sign up for Underdog Fantasy. If you like these videos, if you want us to keep making videos, sign up with Underdog Fantasy, use promo code SLEEPERS, and they actually have an awesome offer for you. You can receive up to $1,000 in bonus credits. 50% of your first deposit will be distributed in bonus credits, and you get a free pick. And Cart, I got a pick with Underdog Fantasy for this weekend that I'm already eyeing. We got the Pistons and the Knicks, first playoff series in a while for our favorite team. Cade Cunningham over 27 and a half points. I'm taking higher than that for my pick with Underdog. Promo code SLEEPERS. Sign up with Underdog Fantasy. It helps the show. It helps us keep making these videos for you. Back to the show.
Um, Gonzaga.
Ooh.
Like, I mean, we've talked on past videos about how Gonzaga has not done a lot in the portal. They have needs, particularly in the backcourt. They need scoring on the perimeter. Like, you're kind of going from one big fish in a small pond in terms of Memphis and the American to another with Gonzaga and the WCC. But him and Mark Few offense and the way Mark Few develops guards, I think that could be really high level.
Could be. I completely agree with that. Um, quick reaction from me. Do we think Gonzaga has the bags for that? For one guy?
If they decide Haggerty is the guy, I think it's important to remember the amount of money that Drew Timmy made
This is
there.
true.
Like they can dive into it for the right people.
This is true. So I'm going to throw the Coleman Hawkin allegedly word around because Coleman was on our show and we kept prodding him on $2 million man. He would say allegedly, allegedly. So anytime numbers are mentioned on the show, it's allegedly, folks. That's all this is. But allegedly, I expect PJ Haggerty to be $4 million minimum here. That's what allegedly Yaxel Lendeborg got. That's what I think as this progresses closer and closer to the finish line, a school is going to need to pay for a bona fide All American.
Yes.
Um, I think they're like back to that CBS Sports report. I think there are probably 8 to 10 schools that could reach into their duffel bag and afford that for one player. I think Michigan already did with Yaxel, but that's the type of payment that a school is going to have to make. Gonzaga, just to me, I don't think is one of them, but maybe they could. Maybe they could strategize around it and fundraise for it. Um, I'm going to rattle off a couple potential options here. Just stepping back broadly and thinking about PJ Haggerty, he feels like the prototypical Alabama or Auburn guard to me. I don't know which one, but God, we've seen All Americans at both of those schools last couple years. They both play in chaotic, fun systems. I think he would immediately be a star there. I don't know what the financial situation is. I know Auburn's spending a bunch of money. I know Alabama's had a weird, quiet offseason thus far, but I would assume they can get money if needed. So, any thoughts on those two as a potential option?
I would say Bama. I think Auburn's still pretty much hitched their wagon into Hyde Pettiford having a more ball dominant role, which next to Haggerty, I think could be a little clunky, but Bama's lost a lot of guards they haven't totally replaced.
Yeah.
They may need a guy. So Haggerty would make sense. And also, I think this is important with players of Haggerty's level. Chances are somebody is getting him to go into the portal, or at least got his agent like, hey, we'll get you in there. So I think it's important to think of coaches too who are okay operating and they're like, let's get you in there and let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a very good point. If this truly is just a bag off, can anybody outbag the Mormons?
If so, it's because the Mormons have spent a bajillion dollars already.
Yeah. I mean, they're trying to sneak around and get Darion Williams is the story right now. But like, could they just decide to flip Darion Williams money into PJ Haggerty money?
Or if you're going to go all in, get both.
Right.
Church,
I mean, that'd be insane.
That church has money.
I'm just like Rob Wright, PJ Haggerty, DeBansa, Richie Saunders, Kevaketa. Oh my God. There's also not enough basketball for three of those guys, but just saying.
Yeah. Do you want to get a little reckless here?
Let's get super reckless.
I have two thoughts. One of them just came with some news that is breaking as we're recording this. So Illinois has made some big pushes.
Yeah.
Down the stretch here. And they need a ball dominant guy. That to me would make a lot of sense. Be a good fit.
You're going where I know you're going.
Yeah. Also, Florida just landed Xavier Lee.
I was going to say it.
The idea was that him and Denzel Aberdeen would make a solid backcourt. Well, now Aberdeen just entered the portal. If we're going to do a little Windhorst here, why would that happen? It's very interesting. It's very interesting. Maybe they want Lee and Haggerty together. And when the defending national champs come calling with a role for you, be hard to say no.
So I think this would be perfect, and I was going to use them as my last-ditch team here before I even saw the Aberdeen news. But I've been on record. I don't love Xavier Lee if he's supposed to be Walter Clayton. I love Xavier Lee if he's supposed to be Will Richard or the second guard. And I think that's what this move would be. If you get PJ Haggerty, you get the best possible Walter Clayton replacement you could find. And then you allow Xavier Lee to sort of settle in as a complementary piece, maybe just run the offense a little more and let PJ Haggerty hunt shots. I would adore that. The only question I would have is, does Florida have the firepower to make a haymaker offer? I would think so. When CBS did the report on what schools have what, they had Florida in tier 2, which was like they expect an $8 million roster this year. That's not a $10 million roster, and those extra $2 million can make a big difference. However, what I would say, if Todd Golden and the defending national champions look at their donors and say, we can get PJ Haggerty, I need this, I would hope they foot the bill on that and come to the table with what's needed. So I love that fit, Ralph. I think that's my favorite one that we've discussed.
Me too. Me
Feels
too.
right.
I would love to see that.
Feels right. Feels right. Also, I'll go on record and eat these words if I'm wrong. You mentioned Illinois. No way in hell Illinois has the money for this. Based on the way they've moved this offseason, good luck. This is a $4 million bill, and you're backing out of your priority targets range because he wants 2.5 right now. Just saying. We'll cover this more. I'm sure there will be a lot more twists and turns to PJ Haggerty's recruitment. Everyone in the country should want this kid, and he's a bona fide superstar. We'll have more for you soon.